All right, we are back on the Andre Duke Show with Carter Smith. How is everybody doing on this fine Friday night? Hopping on here. I've been a little inconsistent the last couple of days, but we are working through that. But that's kind of how it goes sometimes. But yeah, how is everybody doing? Let me check got the audio good. Um, but there's that. Also, we'll hop right into it. Let me get the link retweeted. Um, Getting this retweeted. So there's that. But we will, let me get that in here. So that's done. Also, the phone line, the number to call is 260-255-4069. Also, Virginia Tech, Cal going on right now. North Texas, Charlotte. I believe are the games on. And then Boise and Nevada come on later. So there's that. Got that rolling. But yeah, just checking it out to see how this is going. As the description reads, the SEC, let me get that graphic pulled up. I know this is just riveting podcasting right now. Ken Williamson permanently suspended as being an SEC official. I think that the way everything has gone the last, 36 hours of the gambling, the just a lot of things into college football. Well, not necessarily college football, but things that have gone on in the realm of just the Chauncey Billups stuff. Those going ons and some of the other things that have been going on. I think that this is going to be one of the most fascinating times in college football, to be honest. I think that, as it reads, it's very interesting to say the least. And I think that going forward, I think you're going to see more of this. And you're going to see more possible suspensions. I think you're going to get more things going on a technical side of it. I just don't think that this is going to be an isolated incident, to say the least, to be honest. But also, if you can do us the biggest favor, I'm always bad at this. If you could hit the like and subscribe button and help us grow the channel, that helps a ton as well. Getting that done. But so Ken Williamson suspended for the Auburn Georgia game incident. I think if you go back and look at that play, I think that I don't see how anybody in their right mind could disagree with that. I think Herb Street called it groundbreaking after that call was made. Um, it's I don't know. I think it's going to be a tough one to get around. I would say he'll probably, if he wants to be an official again, he'll probably go to I think he'll probably end up back in the Sun Belt, maybe, if he's lucky. But then again, a lot of these guys that are the college officials are part-time employees. They don't really do a whole lot, or they have other jobs. So, and they're pretty successful at their other jobs. So there's that. Virginia Tech on the board already. Wow. And North Texas just gives up a touchdown to Charlotte. Oh, that's fascinating. I don't think that. Maybe Virginia Tech will. Dartmouth pouring it on Columbia. So there's that. Also, in other news, where do we want to go to next? Marcus Freeman comes out and says he called for the return of the Michigan Notre Dame rivalry. Do I think it'll happen? Probably not, because what's Michigan's incentive to play Notre Dame when they play 9 conference games? I hate to be that guy, the bearer of bad news, but I don't think you're going to get this one. I don't think you're going to get this one renewed. I don't think it's going to happen. With the way the college football playoff is, there's no incentive for Michigan to play Notre Dame. It's not I'm not going to say a worthless matchup, but for Michigan, there's no incentive to do it on their part. To be 100% honest with you, in my opinion, that's the way I look at it. Outside of what ESPN's.com's got on their headlines, AJ McCarron running for lieutenant governor. Good luck to him. Oklahoma State just re-signed their AD for 4 years, so yeah, it's very interesting stuff on the old ESPN.com on their college football thing. I'm surprised Whit Weeks is not in there, because I believe he got ruled out. I did see some stuff on Twitter about that. Also, the big thing is that the elephant in the room is the Chauncey Billups stuff. I guess we'll see where that shakes out. You can't really speculate too much on it. It's a government investigation, so there's that. Yeah, that's about all the stuff. And then I guess Lane Kiffin on 3 reported, I think it was Molly McGrath. If I can find the tweet, I guess Kiffin is going to, I guess, address the team about the Florida rumors, which to me is like one of two things. He's either going to say, "Hey guys, I'm leaving," or I'm not leaving. That's pretty much the gist of it. Um, I there's or he's just gonna tell him it's a bunch of noise or whatever. But I don't know. Pretty much, realistically, in my opinion, um, on the Kiffin thing, it's whatever. I uh, I kind of find it that I just find the Kiffin stuff not really off-putting. I just like, well, what do you want him to do? He has a whole group of players that are depending on kind of him to be the patriarch leader of the team. So there's that. He'll either leave or he won't. So I'm kind of done talking about it. But I will say, I will just throw this out there. If he leaves and goes to Florida, I don't think it'll be everything he will want it to be. That's just my opinion. But on to the TV ratings from last week, uh, posted by On3. Ole Miss and Georgia lead the way, followed by Alabama, Tennessee, 3:30, 7:30 time slots, almost 20 million viewers. And then Vandy, LSU does a 5 at noon. It did over a million more views than NBC's USC Notre Dame in prime time. Fox, Ohio State, they had Wisconsin, Michigan, they had Ohio State, Wisconsin on CBS that went up against the highest viewed game of the year, or not the year, but the highest viewed game of the week in Georgia, Ole Miss. Um, so so there's that. I don't know what possibly more Fox and CBS can do because they are just getting crushed. Although I will say Fox's Friday night games have been doing pretty decent. As you can see, Minnesota, Nebraska did 2.7. Texas, Kentucky. Wow. Yeah, I think a lot of people pushed the screw it button on that. I just looking at the TV ratings, they're just Fox and CBS are kind of getting dominated. Miami did 3-4 on Friday night. You mean to tell me Louisville, Miami did more numbers than than uh than Texas, Kentucky, which I get it. Um a lot of the folks on Texas, Kentucky, I think Kentucky's fan base for them is pretty much checked out. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Stoops going forward. I don't know how they're going to find the money to move on from him, but that's just me. But what do I know? Um, Speaking of this week, who is the most likely matchup to who's most likely to get upset in the 4 matchups? You have uh sorry about that. I am sending a text here. I'm trying to get to the bottom of something. Maybe some breaking news. I don't know. So there's that. I am looking All right, got that. Sorry about that. I am kind of screwing around here, but I don't know. I don't think LSU's got a snowball's chance in hell. I really don't. I don't think that it will be. I don't think it'll be like. I don't know. I could see in a world where I'm looking at it, I could definitely see where Texas A&M just goes in there and blows the doors off of them. I think that's most likely to happen. Texas A&M goes in there and thrashes LSU. Do I think BYU gets upset by Iowa State? That's a little unlikely. I don't know how healthy Memphis is going to be coming into this week. I believe their quarterback got hurt or something with their starter. There was a little bit of something there. I'm just kind of curious on that. The other side of the coin is that I think South Carolina has kind of gave up on Beamer. I know he had a heated exchange with a reporter. I think that it's all going downhill in South Carolina. I think that his best bet is that if they offer him the job at Virginia Tech would be to take it instead of getting fired. I could see where that would be something better on his end of it. I'm just kind of curious on what it would realistically be, but I don't know. I think he would probably jettison, in my opinion. But we'll see. Do I think that South Florida is the most susceptible to getting upset? It's just because they got to go on the road to the Liberty Bowl. I think that if this game was in South Florida, I think it would just be I think they would win. Just looking at it as from a betting perspective. I'm going to try to pull up those lines in all of those games. South Florida, Memphis, and it's a noon kickoff. Oh, what's up, Joe? South Florida. South Florida is a 6.5 point. Oh yeah, caps lock. Also, the phone lines are open. Number to call 260-255-4069 is the number to call. I'm just going over some stuff, nothing too major, getting everybody ready for the big kicks on Saturday. Ole Miss 5.5 point dog on the road at Oklahoma. Indiana 25.5 versus UCLA. I'll give you this. If UCLA wins this game, okay, they will probably build a Jerry Neuheisel statue. Possibly, but I don't see it. But where are we at? What's the other one? I'm really shocked Vanderbilt is favored again. Back-to-back games versus ranked opponents. Vandy favored. That's probably never happened. Alabama 11.5. I would say they cover that number. And then the last one is Iowa State, BYU. Or well, A&M's only a 2.5 point favorite. I find that fascinating. Hey, Joe, what's going on?
What's up, Andre?
Not a whole lot, just going over some minute details since I missed some days this week, but getting ready for Saturday.
Yeah, I just tuned you in, and I'm expecting actually I have a call back coming from my healthcare provider, so I might have to leave quickly, but we'll see.
No problem, Joe. Just I was looking at they posted a graphic on who may get upset this weekend, and I think that they had South Florida as a 6.5 point favorite against Memphis, and then obviously the big news that came out earlier this week was the Ken Williamson permanently suspended by um, the SEC for the Georgia Auburn game. I still think that was a touchdown, but do you think that you're going to see more officials permanently suspended?
Is that the one where it was at the goal line and he was in? Clearly, it would have been up 17-0.
Yes.
That's pretty severe, you know, of a penalty. I mean, permanent is permanent, but it was a bad call. I mean, I don't know how you give retribution, now that it's after the fact and the loss is claimed, and but I don't know about permanent suspension, or that seems pretty harsh. And I'm also not thrilled with the SEC after they what they did to Notre Dame on that last play of the game against Texas A&M, 4th and goal from the 11, and our defensive tackle was tackled by the offensive guard, and it was clearly visible, and they didn't call that. I mean, I don't think that would be, and I'm looking at the second loss, and I still don't think I would want him permanently banished.
Yeah, and my thing is that they're not full time, and I don't think making them full time officials. I just don't think that they can get people that want to do the job. That's
Yeah.
my thing.
Yeah. Well, I think they need to get really better. They really should have a league that trains officials,
Oh.
And they should be, college NCAA should get people. It won't be a lot of money, but get them to pay for it and have a better game. It helps them in the end, in the long run. You want the best officiated game you can get. It doesn't matter if it's your team or not, winning or losing, and talent levels and all that. Just give them the best way to call the best game for your enjoyment of watching college football.
Right, and I did a show on this a couple of days ago. Obviously, Billy Napier fired
right
at Florida. Do you hold the opinion? Because I looked this up. Out of Florida's last 12 coaches, how many of them do you think were fired?
Out of 12 of them?
Mm-hmm.
Probably half, I would guess.
Now,
conservative guess.
Now, because I know the answer to this question, do you think that they were going to fire Urban Meyer?
No.
I think they were going to.
Why?
Because of that that last year
his
that
wife.
Yeah,
he cheating on her. His something. He's picking up a teenager or something in the bar.
That was when he was at Jacksonville, or in between his time at Jacksonville. But no, Urban was struggling his last year at Florida. I'll have to pull it up, but I can get it.
I thought he left when Tebow left or something. And I guess I'm wrong.
He did, because he had the health thing.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And
I believe that. I think you don't. I don't think you believe that. I think we talked about this because you didn't believe that he was sick, and I was saying, to have that position, and that's before the big money. When you have the big money, you can deal with the pressures of winning and losing because you have guaranteed security. But like when your health, like I have a feeling he puts everything he's got into it, and he just burns himself out.
Right.
And maybe he's just not that strong enough a constitution to be able to handle this level of coaching with what he wants to give to it compared to what his health is willing to allow.
Well, I think the deal with that was now this is 2010, his last year at Florida. I'll read you
Okay.
the schedule. Their preseason number 4. I believe they just came off of winning the national championship. They beat Miami of Ohio. They beat South Florida. Then he beats Tennessee. He beats Kentucky. Then takes a bad loss to Alabama. They got beat 31-6. And then turn around. What was that, Joe?
Those other teams were terrible. I was saying those other teams so far to date were not great teams.
And then
Tennessee was the only one I saw.
Yes, and well, that's pre-Heupel. That's back in, I think, David Dooley era Tennessee. So it was bad.
Vince Dooley?
Yeah, Derek Dooley, the orange pants guy.
Oh, I thought that must be his son. Vince was the old timer like me.
Yeah. So, and then he loses a close one to LSU, and then he loses to Mississippi State. He beats Georgia, beats Vanderbilt, loses to South Carolina, beats...
Yeah, so he lost to all the good teams.
Yes, and then he beats Appalachian State, loses to Florida State, and then wins his bowl game, and then checks out. And then you have to remember, for when they lost to LSU, they weren't ranked again until they went a whole month with being outranked or without being ranked, and then they're not ranked again at all the rest of the year.
Well, there again, dude, that's why I would contest it about his health, because think about it. If he came off a national championship, then the very next year you're losing to all these teams that are good. That's got to weigh on his health, like his stress level. He can't beat anybody after he just came off of winning it all. He loses to all the good teams. That would add to your stress level and your health problems, I would think. But
oh no,
we don't know for sure.
Hold on. I think I may have messed that up. No, they did not win the national championship that year. That was the year Alabama won their first one with Saban. He was ranked number 1.
Okay.
He was ranked number 1 all year. They pretty much handled everybody up until he played Alabama, then lost to Bama, and then realistically, out of his last 17 games, he goes 9-6. So realistically, he was trending in the wrong direction. But
I think it could be that he was a little overrated, because think about it. He goes up to Ohio State, who always reloads, right? They were paying players way before it was legal, and in my opinion, I can't verify any of that, but they were just getting great players all the time, and they're not even a blue blood. I don't know. They had Cooper, I guess, before him. I don't know. Or Tressel, and then Cooper before Tressel, right?
Yeah, and then it was Earl Bruce, Carter's grandfather.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
So it's the thing with Urban. He had
he walked into a good situation at Ohio State. I'll just say that. They gave him a lot more acclaim than he, I think, deserved, especially with what you're telling me from his struggle from Florida. I mean, he had Tebow and he did well. If he has good players, he can win, I guess.
Do you know?
I guess a lot of teams.
Yeah. Do you know who they kicked off that team? And I think it was 2009.
Off of Urban's team?
Yeah, that they kicked him off in spring practice? He had to go to junior college.
I might know that if I had a little more time. I know it's not Randy Moss, but it's probably a player like that, huh?
Yeah, that guy that they kicked off in spring football for a stolen laptop allegedly was that guy's name was Cam Newton.
Yeah. Well, that's when there was integrity in college football.
Well, I don't know. Aaron Hernandez didn't get kicked off the team, but they had a lot.
And who did he murder?
Yeah,
they
had a lot of issues. And since I got you here, what is your take on this gambling situation going on with the NBA?
Oh, I know. What's his name?
Chauncey
Billups. He used to play for Detroit, and then he went to the Knicks, and he was really good. I'm shocked. Like they came up with a whole bunch of like reading the cards with sunglasses. They had the shuffling deck, automatic shuffler fixed. I mean, this is crazy. That's not good for anybody, right? The gambling world, and of course I don't partake, but yeah, that was unfortunate. I thought he seemed like a good guy, but that's some bad shit,
Yeah, and I think that, because they kept on throwing out there the Gambino family was involved with it, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, how does one get themselves into that? And at first,
hooked up with Gambino.
in my thing is that if I looked at it as if they were just doing until all the details are starting to trickle out, but I looked at it as if they were just playing high level poker. He just didn't want to pay taxes on the winnings, and like
either that or he had a gambling debt to the Gambino family.
That's what I was thinking, and they said, "Hey, you're going to do this for us."
Yeah,
but I guess I don't know. I don't know if we will ever get the full truth on this. You know how things get buried in the news, but I look at that and I think to myself, it's just an unfortunate situation. But back to what I was saying about the Florida coaching situation, if I give Urban the health thing, whatever, but in Spurrier left on his own, but the other 10 coaches have all been fired.
Mm-hmm. And so what do you think? What do you make of that? What's your opinion about that statistic?
If I'm a sitting head coach somewhere, or if I'm a over 50 coach, or if I'm Lane Kiffin, what makes you think that if you decide to go there that you won't get fired?
Well, eventually most coaches get fired, but then again, Duke, I think that they gave Napier quite a long leash. I mean, he didn't put up the greatest numbers every year he's been there, so they did give him quite a bit of leash to try and correct it. And so I would say that would be a benefit of going to them, is that they did hang on to him for what they were hoping he would be able to do. But I don't know about
the one thing that I reserve the judgment on Billy about is that Florida was in the bottom half of football spending for his tenure.
Right.
And I think that if you don't invest in your program, that's what you're going to get. Now,
exactly.
Where I think
in this day and age,
where I think that Florida themselves are going to get into trouble is that they're promising out and out. They're kind of promising Lane Kiffin. What happens if you don't get Lane Kiffin?
There's a lot of questions like that. I mean, look at Penn State. There's just not a lot of great coaches out there, period. I mean, like Kirby's not going to go anywhere. Marcus isn't going to go anywhere. Kiffin could go. and Sarkisian could go. I mean, now I hear there's Arch Manning's threatening to leave if they don't make the playoffs. There's a lot of up in the air kind of stuff.
Here's what I think will happen. I think it'll get really loud in Texas if they lose this weekend.
Who do they play?
They play at Mississippi State.
Yeah, they should beat them. That should be
They should beat them. But what I'm saying is that they're going on the road playing in Mississippi at noon with the Cowbells. I'm just saying weird because the SEC has certain schools, just like the Big Ten does, and just like the Pac-12 used to. Like when USC would go up to, they would go up to, not Outson, but what's the other? Corvallis.
Oregon State.
Yes.
The Beavers. Yeah.
They
Corvallis.
go.
Yeah.
I've seen many seasons die on the field at Oregon State. I've seen many seasons die in Fayetteville. I've seen seasons die at Mississippi State. They have, for all intents and purposes, they've been totally undermanned when they've played Ole Miss. Ole Miss has been the better team, and Mississippi State would be 3 wins, and they go in there and beat them, or they'd come down there and beat them.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Sarkisian is going to allow that. I think that Texas is better than what they've shown by a lot. Of course, I would have thought Penn State would have, been able to do a lot better too. So, you just don't know until you see the game played. But, if these guys aren't ready to play, that's how they lose. Notre Dame, when they played at USC, they were ready to play. And I don't think USC was. I don't think they needed it as much as Notre Dame did, and it showed.
I think
so.
In the Notre Dame USC game, I hate to be that guy, but it looked like they quit a little bit.
Well, they were getting trashed at the line of scrimmage.
And to me, it looked like they quit. Now, one thing I want to ask you is...
let me say one thing, too, is that, like all these Notre Dame fans were getting on C.J. Carr's case when he threw that really bad interception in the red zone.
Right.
But if you looked and you saw Maeva throw his a guy that made a catch, it was almost the exact same play by each quarterback, the way they were kind of swirling around in the backfield and then threw a desperation pass. Maeva's actually got completed, and CJ's was an interception. But it's very similar, and
Oh,
I don't know, that was just. I don't know if you remember that play that Maeva made. That was crazy. Like he did the same.
Virtually the same thing. One guy is going to get praised. The other guy threw a pick, and let's burn him at
and
the
stake. Fans go,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and Maeva's got a year experience on him, but I don't know. I thought they're getting on CJ a little too much for that. He knows it was a bad play. The offensive coordinator knows it was a bad play. It was a bad play, and you get over it, because the guy's got too much of an upside to worry about that one play, and it didn't cost them the game,
Oh yeah, I totally get you on that. And Notre Dame covers the spread, so I don't think it's a be all end all. But speaking of Notre Dame and people freaking out, now LSU has Texas A&M coming to town. Let me read you this stretch of games that Brian Kelly has. He's already got 2 losses, Vandy and Ole Miss. So he's got A&M Saturday night. Then they got to go on the road to Tuscaloosa. And then you have Arkansas coming to town, and then Western Kentucky, that should be a win. And then you end it with Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That does not sound like a good recipe.
No, you can easily see 2 losses coming their way.
And I think if he loses 2 games, I think they'll fire him.
Well, that's another one where the LSU fans, I thought, were very much giving Kelly a leash. They thought he was going to be a good hire. And being Notre Dame fan, most Notre Dame fans, we breathed a sigh of relief when we heard that he was leaving. It was like we were angry at the way he did it, but then again, it was like, yeah, Marcus Freeman, yeah, and so long, Brian. But he just couldn't win the big ones, and to go to the SEC and LSU does, they'll spend and they'll pay people under the table like they're ones that know how to compete by any means possible, right? So they're always going to have some really good players coming in. So Kelly can't blame anyone but himself, because recruiting's a lot easier, I think, at LSU, because the talent's down by him, and their purse strings are loose, so if he can't win it with those kind of benefits in his back pocket, it just proves that the guy was like, he won at a FCS school, he won a championship. Well, okay, but what are you going to do when you hit the big boys? And then he went from Notre Dame, he jumped into the SEC. It's like, you're going for the money because your talent isn't there, and he doesn't like to recruit. He doesn't like to go on the road. He might talk to guys on the phone, but seeing them face to face and meeting the families and seeing the environment and things like that, I mean, he didn't want to put in that time. So he's getting what he reaped, or what he sowed.
Well, I think that the biggest thing with Brian Kelly with me is that I think Notre Dame tried to force that hire and they tried to force that fit because they were good enough to where they could sell it to everybody that this could be our year. And I think that Jack Swarbrick retiring, I think, is what, when he knew Jack was going to retire, I think that's what Brian thought, I better get out of here, because the other people in the athletic department, they really want to win, and I don't know how applied I want to be on this. May not be true, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. I think that, that the purse strings and the building of buildings, they weren't quite in place when Kelly was there.
Right.
And then when Freeman came there, all of a sudden Notre Dame realized, we can compete if we do the same things that everyone else does. And they learned how to do it. They hired a guy as a general manager from the NFL, which knows how to negotiate, I think, contracts. And so I think that was a big boost, in addition to the great coaching that they had at the time with Al Golden and all the rest of them that are very good. So I think Freeman had a little bit more of a backing than Kelly had. Like it seemed like he was hitting the wall with trying to get anything from the university. So I think that was also a part that played for him.
Yes, I will agree there. I think that, it's funny. It's funny to me that you'll have a guy, and the perfect example is Mark Richt at Georgia.
Right.
Mark Richt took the program to heights that they hadn't been to in a while.
Right.
And
I agree.
I think they told Mark Richt no on things. So they fire Mark Richt, they hire Kirby Smart, and it's been a smashing success. You know why? Because they've given Kirby everything he's needed.
Right.
I think it's no coincidence at Alabama. The crazy thing is with Alabama and the Saban stuff is I feel like Saban got the people, got the boosters all in lockstep and said, I'm going to run the program. You guys just cheer for us. And when I need money, give it to me.
Yeah.
Because he had the track record of, I've been in the NFL and I've already won a national championship at LSU. So.
Right.
And then.
Yeah. And not only that, but he was like the best recruiter in the country.
Right.
Like you wanted to play for him. Like if he made the time, and he did, he went out and saw kids. And so that means a lot to families. And so for him, I've never seen such a like even better than Ohio State, the way they reloaded during his time. I mean, if you look at their offensive line, for example, every year for about 8 years, these guys looked the exact same. They were like images of each other from the previous year that filled in and replaced, and guys that left. Like each guy looked like the exact same unit. You never saw any drop off.
Right.
And and they're all built the same, and they all know how to, they're all hungry, and they're all, many 5-stars. So he was doing his job, and that's what the results were. Is you're a great coach, and great coaches can get great players, and that's your result. Like it's unheard of how many he won in such a short time, but it just is a credit to him.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think that Saban getting everything he needed to be successful. I don't think that was the same thing with Billy Napier, and I think the Penn State people, I talked about that too. They kicked off the biggest coaching carousel by firing James Franklin, and I get it. They went all in for this year. But my thing is when can you name a time that Penn State is better? They've been better than Michigan and Ohio State.
You can't.
In the last 20 years, maybe one or two times, but Franklin he was there 12 years. He won a lot of games. I get it, but the Big Ten, the biggest thing that they want to say the Big Ten's the best conference off of the conferences beating the SEC in meaningless bowl games. I don't think that's a good graph, in my opinion. But
no, they've been the best in the last 2 years because they've won it the last 2 years. But before that, it was Saban. It was all Saban.
It was Saban, Dabo, and Kirby.
Right.
And I mean, Day's got him one now finally, but I feel like they're recruiting at a level.
See, the thing with Florida is another school, Duke, that has very good high standards for education. They're a good school. And so they were probably one of the last to want to get into the this NIL and I call it free agency, but transfer portal and things like that. They weren't as quick to do that. They stuck with the traditional recruiting and things like education, trying to sell them on these things, and it just didn't work. And it won't work anymore because money's now becoming the sport. But they have even less rules to follow than the NFL. Like the NFL has a perfect, the owners are in control, but the universities aren't really. If the universities wanted to be in control, then unless their university is like Nike, they're not going to win.
Well, I think the big thing here is I think that there were some schools that did not adopt the NIL. Like we can throw it out there, like Wisconsin. Their athletic director came out the other day and said, we're going to make a financial push. And I think that's why they gave Fickle one more year. Because last year he got a extension. And I feel like that Fickle ended up. Yeah,
but if they're opening up the purse strings now, Duke, like, so what? You're going to have 1 year of being able to be competitive. It's almost like Virginia Tech. All of a sudden, in 1 year, they're getting $30 million to do something better. It's not going to happen just because of the 1 year. Not unless you can get guys from Alabama, Ohio State to come over in the transfer portal. You know what I mean? Like even if you extend it 1 year, it's not going to do enough. If you're just opening the purse strings now, that won't matter. Although Indiana is the perfect argument against my point, because what they've done in 2 years is amazing, really.
I think that the problem you have is that Indiana is the losingest program of over time. Kirk Cignetti shows up there with a bunch of JMU guys.
Right.
And they make the playoff the first year. I'm sure every coach respects what he did, and it's just like, man, that just raised our expectations through the roof. And I think that's why Penn State, by them trying to...
Well, he didn't just get James Madison people. He got like 50 transfers his first year.
Yeah, he could
then
remodeled the roster.
Yeah. But it's impressive, though. I mean, because how often does that happen where chemistry can gel like that in a brand new, 50 out of 85 players? I know it's like 115 now, but when he came on, it was probably only 85, 95, 105. I don't remember, but 50% of the players are new to the team. I mean, that's a brand new chemistry and culture he's trying to build in 1 year, and he did it. Like he made them come together.
And he's doing really well in high school recruiting. And I think that whenever they made the decision to fire James Franklin, Penn State thought, oh, we'll just get we'll just get Kirk Cignetti. Not so fast. Cignetti gets a significant pay bump.
Yeah.
Matt Rule didn't look great against
See, the guys I see as available now that are good and upcoming are Dillingham and Alex Golish from USF. Those kind of guys, I guess you can probably find some offensive and defensive coordinators in the SEC, but the head coaches like that come to mind that are attainable for Florida or Penn State would be those two. I would go after those two if I was either of those universities, because I think they're really good.
And I also think that a lot of the SEC guys that are coordinators there want to stay in their general vicinity area as well. Like, I've heard John Summerall's name pop up in some stuff. And
right, me too.
I think that if I'm Summerall, I'm not even going to field phone calls from Penn State. If LSU comes open, I'm definitely throwing my hat in that ring.
Yeah.
Because,
and yet, like what's his track record? Like what's his coaching tree?
Who
did he coach under?
He's been with quite a few people, but I'm just going by him as a head coach.
Yeah.
As a head coach, he won 2 Sun Belt championships and then played for the American Championship last year. And I think that they could probably win the American this year and probably get the Group of 5 bid, depending on whenever they play South Florida.
Is he with Memphis or no? Who's he with?
He's with Tulane.
Tulane, okay. That's interesting.
So I think Summerall would be a good fit at LSU. I think that Alabama's defensive coordinator, Kane Womack, I think he's going to be fielding phone calls because Alabama's defensive unit is good. I think the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma is going to probably get some calls. I think that Brian Hartline's going to get some calls. If I'm Florida,
I like that fit because Tulane's in Louisiana, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that would make sense if they are keeping an eye on him because he's so close.
And
he won't demand a lot of money, I don't think, to go there.
I don't think that right off the bat they'll give him a huge contract, but I think it'll be a whole bunch of guaranteed money. But the other
incentive money.
Yes, the other thing too, I think if I am Florida, I'm not hiring James Franklin. I'm going all in on Hartline because he has consistently beat Florida, Florida State, and Miami for recruits in their home state. What do you think it'll be? He don't have to sell them on Ohio State. He can sell them on being in Gainesville.
Yeah.
That's why I'd go after Hartline.
Yeah. What do you think? Is Beamer safe at South Carolina?
I don't think South Carolina is going to move on Beamer. I think Beamer is going to move on South Carolina. I think he's going to go to Virginia Tech.
That's interesting. You think that's going to happen after this year?
Yeah. Yeah, I think
I think that would be a smart move for him because he's not SEC worthy.
well,
He's
it's
just not a good coach. He makes mistakes that are just like, how do you how do you do that?
I think
And his teams aren't disciplined. They make a lot of stupid penalties.
I think that
So I think he would do a better by not being in the SEC. An ACC would, if he could get an ACC like Virginia Tech now that they have some money, he might do better. But I don't think he's the answer for anybody. Honestly, I'm not a big fan. His dad was good
I
at
think
Virginia Tech.
I think he'll get a super huge benefit of the doubt being at Virginia Tech.
Mm-hmm.
And
Because of dad.
I think one of the other things that will help him is I don't think South Carolina is fully bought into committing to anything.
Yeah.
They kind of when it comes to basketball and football, they kind of half-ass two things instead of whole-ass one thing, in my opinion,
Yeah.
because they're near the bottom in spending in
Mm-hmm.
the SEC and athletics. Now, South Carolina would potentially be open. Um, I think that if anybody was smart, they would go after Clark Lee at Vanderbilt, but I don't think he's going to leave.
Yeah, I think he'd be the best. I mean, if you could get him to leave, he would fit any program because he's that good. He'll just make them good. He'll make it.
I
He'll do the right way.
I think that when it comes to having equity build up, this is just my honest opinion. I think if you are Clark Lee, you don't leave Vanderbilt. I think if you're Lane Kiffin, you don't leave Ole Miss because I think the biggest thing in coaching now with the NIL world and the unlimited free agency, I think having equity
Mm-hmm.
at a program is worth more than anything. I think it's worth more than wins.
Well, what do you think about the guy at Georgia Tech? Is his name Key?
Yeah, Brent Key. I don't think he.
Yeah.
Why would you
What
leave?
he? Well, I mean, if somebody like LSU came calling, uh, I don't know. He's close enough to the SEC where I like him. Like he's not really talked about, but that Georgia Tech these last like 3-4 years have been really good. Like they're not the
He's
knockaround team that they used to be. The ground and pound kind of would they have that wishbone kind of the team. Like all of a
well,
sudden he gets
the wishbone and triple option pretty much went dead whenever they outlawed chopping at the line of scrimmage. So
right,
that
right.
takes your advantage away. I think that one of the things with Brett Key is I believe he's an alumni of Georgia Tech as well. And
Yeah, might
two
be.
2 years ago in the springtime, Georgia Tech got their biggest gift in school history to the athletic department, which was $60 million. So
Mm-hmm.
I think Georgia Tech might have the most money outside of Clemson in the ACC. The SMU's got more money than they got, but SMU is fascinating to me. But
Yeah,
the thing,
that's
the
a good
thing,
word.
the thing with which SMU is taking like a massive pay cut on TV money just to be in the ACC,
Yeah,
and
I did know that.
they are still spending more than everybody. SMU is going to build a winner. It's just going to take a little time.
Well, who is their coach? Do you know?
Rhett Lashley.
Yeah, I don't know him.
He was
I don't
the
know about any.
he was the offensive coordinator, I believe, at Arkansas before he got the um, SMU job. Because if everybody would think back when Barry Odom got fired at Missouri, Sam Pittman had Brett Lashley and Barry Odom, which are now two current head coaches at Power 4 schools.
Right.
So I think that's what kind of hurt Sam Pittman. Arkansas, who they hire, is going to be fascinating to me because do not let Bobby Petrino win a couple of games. They will hire him. I just know how that's going to roll. So,
Well, that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing for them, would it?
I don't know. I guess to me that would just go out on a limb and say time is a flat circle. Bobby Petrino back at where he got fired from for lying.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then again, not my
It's
quote.
the SEC.
Not my quote, but I think that Arkansas would run into the realm of being one of the most morally bankrupt institutions. So there's that. But yeah, Joe, we're coming up in on an hour. Got any final words?
No, I was gonna go over your games you're keeping an eye on this week, but
oh yeah, we didn't do that.
Everything.
We didn't do that. Let me get my other laptop up. We'll go over the games and then we'll get everybody out of here.
Okay.
Let me see here. All right.
I got about 8 or 9 games I think I'm taping.
I got since I got 7 screens, I'll be able to have a lot going on. Kick it off with UCLA, Indiana. A lot of people are heavily betting UCLA in this one. I think
What's the spread?
As it sits right now, 26.5.
Oh, I'll take UCLA. They're on a roll, baby.
It's just because you live on the West Coast.
Well, I've been impressed with what they've done.
Oh, I think so too. I think if you told me that Indiana beat them by 21, I'd be like, okay, that's not as bad as I think it would be. I mean, I remember what they did to them last year. They beat them like 48-7.
Well, where's the game?
At Indiana.
Oh, okay. So that'll be that's like 10 points right off the bat.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I said I've seen a lot of people out there taking on the UCLA spread, and I'm just like, I don't know. Signetti don't call the dogs off.
Yes, that's true.
So there's that. One of the games I'm going to be streaming live on the YouTube channel is going to be Ole Miss, Oklahoma. I kind of like Ole Miss in that one.
Yeah, is it at Ole Miss?
No, it's at Oklahoma.
Oh, and what's the spread?
Ole Miss is Oklahoma is -5.5.
Wow, at home, huh?
Yep.
So Kiffin against Venables, interesting.
Yeah, I think that'll be a real fascinating matchup. And then you got I think it's going to be interesting. You got Virginia, North Carolina. I'll be interested in that.
Yeah, I think it's still, like Belichick, he's still trying to get his footing in this college game. Like he's not the same coach yet. Like he's kind of relying on his son, and that's not him. So I think that he needs to really impose his will on this team and give him a piece of his mind, give them a piece of his mind like he would do in New England. Like he's got to take charge, and I think he's still trying to get his feet wet on how to deal with young people,
Yeah.
and that are paid.
Yeah, I definitely.
Paid young people is a bad recipe.
I definitely think that it's going to get interesting. Now, if you told me before spring football, like at the end of November, that he was just going to retire, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
And then we got.
Well, maybe that's what he's doing, Duke. Maybe that's what he's doing. He's setting up his son to take over.
Yeah, maybe.
Give him a career.
It hasn't gone well. It just really hasn't.
Well, what's interesting? Charlie Weiss did the same thing with his son, and his son is one of the best offensive coordinators in the game today.
Right.
And I remember that kid, as up to Charlie's hip as a kid, going to the sideline on Notre Dame, So, I mean, and Charlie was an offensive genius, so it doesn't surprise me that this kid can pick it up of what he saw his dad doing.
I think the thing for Charlie Weiss Sr. Great offensive coordinator, head coach, not so much, and he was a bad fit at Notre Dame.
Well, he went to Notre Dame. That was the thing, I think, and he had just come off of all these championships at New England. So, it to me, it made sense that you would want a guy, and plus he signed up at the last minute.
Oh yeah, that hurt him a lot. And then the quote that sticks out that sums up the Charlie Weiss tenure is when we get to X's and O's, it's gonna be different. I'm just like, man, you can't say that.
Well, the good thing about him was he was able to get these quarterbacks that were the top three for 2 straight years. Clausen and that other, I can't think of his name now, but like he was a good recruiter, and just he'd flash his rings to these quarterbacks that were in high school and be like, "You want to win? You come with me."
Yeah,
So he was able to do that, but he had no clue about how to make a defense work, and he had to rely too much on coaches that he didn't pay enough attention, and they weren't good enough to complement his offensive scheme that he was always talking about.
yeah.
So, but his son is, to me, I mean, like that. Isn't he with Ole Miss? Or
I believe that, yeah, that's his kid. And then also that what really hurt Charlie's, I think, legacy in college football. Obviously, it didn't work at Notre Dame, but then he goes and takes the Kansas job. That was got to be the worst job in all of college football when he took that.
Yeah, but he didn't do too bad at it. In fact, he kind of made them, after he left, they became a pretty good team. So I mean, like, who knows if he was successful putting things in place for them to become a little, something other than a basketball school. Like all of
Yeah.
a sudden you had to worry about it in the Big 12 if you're playing Kansas, because
Well,
he was doing some good things.
I think they had one decent year, and then they moved on, and then they hired Turner Gill, which didn't work, and it snowballed. But they finally got Lance Leopold, so they're heading in the right direction, I believe.
Yeah.
We already talked about Memphis, South Florida.
I need Memphis to win that. As a Notre Dame fan, all of a sudden South Florida is going to be one of the determinants.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, even if they're not a group Power 4 school, I mean they can make things ugly.
Yeah,
for
that
Notre Dame's
resume.
Yeah.
Also, I have an eye on Auburn, Arkansas, just because I think if Hugh Freeze
Absolutely.
loses, I think he might get fired.
Yeah. Where would he go? He could go to somewhere in the Big Ten, I think. He might be able to fit into Penn State. What? No?
No, Hugh Freeze would be a terrible fit in the Big Ten.
Didn't he play up, or maybe I'm wrong. He was always a Southern guy?
Oh yeah. Hugh Freeze was at Arkansas State before he went to Ole Miss, and it went off the rails with his personal life.
Well, then where does he go? If he gets fired, do you think he'll Memphis maybe and start anew?
Memphis wouldn't hire Hugh Freeze. I think one of the Sun Belt schools would hire him.
How about South Carolina?
No. If he gets fired from Auburn, he'll have to go down to the group of 5.
Yeah, that's probably right.
I would lean towards.
I'm thinking that for Beamer too.
I think Beamer's. I think the Virginia Tech job is his if he wants it. That's just my personal opinion. I think it's his if he wants it.
Well, it would be a mistake for that university, father notwithstanding. I just don't see Beamer as he's not elite, that's for sure.
I think that he is a good recruiter, and I think that he could turn, because see, this is the misconception when it comes to the Virginia Tech thing. As long as they win 8 to 9 games a year, which is totally doable in the ACC, I think
I haven't seen it from them in a long time, though.
Exactly, and I think that's why he would have a lifetime contract. But South Carolina,
yeah.
South Carolina just, like I said, they just don't. I think the investment is there. They want to win, but I don't think that they have the backing from the boosters to win.
Yeah, well, whereas Virginia Tech, you'll be walking into a good situation financially.
Oh yeah,
Supporting them.
they'll be out there fundraising all over the state of Virginia.
Yeah, and they've already admitted to giving a lot of, like, 30 million to the football program.
Oh yeah. So speaking of Beamer, he takes on Alabama at home. I think that might be a bloodbath.
You do.
Yeah.
I think Alabama's going to beat them like 35 to 14.
Yeah, it's going to be, I'd be lucky if they score a touchdown. But who knows? Could be wrong. Vanderbilt, Missouri is fascinating because that has huge implications on the playoffs. If Missouri
Yes,
loses,
it does.
if Missouri loses this one, they don't control their own destiny, and that is,
They have one loss right now.
yes, they lost to Alabama last week.
Yeah, so you're right. With two losses,
You don't control.
well, they won't. They probably won't make the championship.
No.
Conference championship. So you're right. It won't be in their. They won't be able to control what happens. Yeah, I agree.
And then Texas is on the road at Mississippi State. I find that interesting just for the simple fact of,
Well, Texas already has two losses, so one more, they're done.
Yeah.
And then Mississippi State doesn't really. Are they even ranked?
No,
I doubt it.
It's a free shot for Mississippi State. They have nothing to lose.
Yeah. So that game, I'm probably taping it, but I'll probably go fast forward through a lot of it just to see the scores and what it winds up being.
Yeah.
I'm not a believer in Texas. Like, even if they win out, I'd be probably more of a believer, but I don't think they can do it. I think they're in turmoil. I think Sarkisian's uneasy and he's feeling the pressure this year.
Oh, I think 100%. I think the boosters are all over him because they've went in and Texas has invested, I think, the most money into football in the SEC.
Yeah.
Or into athletics. But
right.
I think them and A&M are the two biggest spenders. And speaking of A&M, I think this is, I hate to say this, but I think it's win or be fired for Brian Kelly in this one, because when they take on the third loss, it's over.
Well, that very well can happen because Elko's that good, but he's way better than Kelly, and he used to work for Kelly.
And I think there's a lot of personal things in this game.
Yeah. And I think I don't think Texas A&M is as good as their record, but yet, it is what it is. So, and Elko's a good coach. So, I mean, it remains to be seen, but I don't even know if they're good enough to get to their conference championship game. I keep on, out of the side of my eye, I keep looking at Georgia and Alabama again. It's like, when it gets right down to it, these are Georgia just blows my mind the way they never give up, and they always have to come from behind, and they do it. So Alabama's been showing that they are the team of the conference, right? Who else is there besides? So Georgia can get there with Alabama, and the rest of those guys are going to hopefully be able to get in with two losses for their sake. So they're going to eat each other up, and we'll see how it falls. But I don't think Texas A&M is quite as good as what they're being touted as and being ranked as. We'll see what they. It'll be interesting when we get the committee rankings, won't it?
Yeah, it'll be very interesting because A&M. Let's just call this a perfect world. A&M beats LSU. Missouri loses to Vandy. Once Missouri takes that third loss, even though I think the kids like Drinkowitz, but they could be on quit watch. South Carolina will probably be a corpse by the time they play them. Then they play Samford, which they'll beat the hell out of them. And then Black Friday, they play Texas, and if Texas takes a loss, to Mississippi State. On top of that, Texas still has to play Georgia.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think they'll handle Mississippi State even with the cowbells. I don't see that as being an issue for them. I think they have a lot of retribution, and I think Sarkisian's going to have them ready to play that game, even if they have to travel. But if they have to still play Georgia, that's a tough ask. Where's that game? Do you know?
It's at Athens this year.
Yeah, I don't think they can do it.
Because, in my opinion, Texas is staring up a goat's butt. In all intents and purposes, it ain't looking good.
Yeah, as a Notre Dame fan, I should probably be rooting for Georgia in that game.
And also, as a Notre Dame fan, it would help a ton for Miami and Texas A&M to keep winning.
Yeah, I don't know. I really, like, this week is going to say a lot about what the committee rankings come out to be. Like, if Texas A&M doesn't win this weekend, or even if they do, I still think that they're probably going to be ranked at around 6. Even, do they have a loss yet? I don't think so.
No, A&M's undefeated. They're number 3 in the nation
by the AP.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, like, they haven't. Who have they really dominated?
They haven't really dominated any. They've dominated some people, but the thing with A&M is that it's hard to make the argument since they haven't quote unquote dominated anybody. What makes it tough on A&M is that they've had closer games, but they've won all of them. That's the problem with A&M.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you're right in that I should want Miami and Texas A&M to win out, but then again, I'm not really believing in Texas A&M, and I think the committee is going to kind of see where I'm talking about. But if the record is what it is, if they wind up getting their only loss coming to Georgia, then they'll be in the conference championship against Alabama. They'll lose, and so that'll give them 2 losses. So if Notre Dame wins out, Notre Dame lost to them by 1 point on the last play of the game, which was ridiculous play that they got. I don't know. It's going to be a real subjective call. Then you're going to have to look at common opponents and things like that, and here and away and point spreads and all the different things that the committee's going to have to analyze before they choose between. Because I can see us playing Texas A&M today, and Notre Dame would wind up winning by at least 10 points. At least.
Well, the thing of it is,
they were so lucky to win. Notre Dame missed an extra point when they went ahead with a minute and a half left to play or something. They went up 40 to 34.
I don't.
I don't. So to me,
it's one of those things that that's where the ball bounces. But as I look at it, I just looked at A&M's schedule. I don't think that they lose the rest of the year because they got to go to LSU. They got to go. Let me pull that back up.
I have to root for Brian Kelly.
Oh,
it's really what I'm doing is I don't believe that they have to win out for help Notre Dame, like, because I don't think they can win out. I think that they could lose to LSU, and then they would lose to Georgia. So all of a sudden they have 2 losses.
A&M doesn't have Georgia; they have Texas.
And look at the timing of when the losses came. You have to look at that too, right?
Yeah. See, the thing of it is that I think LSU's living on borrowed time. I think that's an implosion. If Missouri loses to Vanderbilt, that's interesting because I don't know how they would respond. And then you have South Carolina, Samford, in barring if Texas loses to Mississippi State, everybody that's getting drafted is shutting it down. So A&M's literally going to walk to the finish line.
You think if they're out of it, they're shutting down? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I think the guys that are going to get drafted at Texas, they don't care because half of them aren't from Texas and they're mercenaries. They don't. The only people that care about rivalry games.
But if they make the playoffs, do you think they'd walk out still?
Texas, if they lose to Mississippi State and they lose to Georgia, there's no way they're getting in the playoff.
Right.
I don't think Texas goes on the road.
They're not losing to Mississippi State, Duke.
I'm just saying.
I know. I don't know. You'll be a genius and would have made a lot of money in football if you bet that and it happened, but I don't see it happening. I don't see Mississippi State as being a good team.
I think Texas.
They're another middling team from the SEC that's overrated as it is.
I think Mississippi State can score points, and I think Texas struggles on offense.
Who's their quarterback?
Blake Shapen.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
Yeah,
I guess we can agree to disagree, but you'll have to show up.
I know. That's right, and I will. I'll eat crow if you're right. I'll be happy to, accolades to you, buddy. But I don't see it happening.
The phone lines will be open Saturday night after the LSU Texas A&M game. But we'll go.
You know the way you. Yeah, you know the way I watch games, though. I explained to you. I tape so many games, and then I watch them in a row as chronologically at the time of game time starts.
Oh, so yeah, with you.
I have 3 in the morning game, which is 12 o'clock your time, or whatever, 11. I don't know, but I have 9 o'clock games are the first round of games out here, and then 12:30 is the next round for me, which is 3:30 your time probably, and so I'm behind the 8 ball come that 4:30 game, which is 7:30 your time, which is Texas A&M LSU. So I'm going to have to really jam through a lot of games to be able to go online with you on that night. It'll probably be the following week. I'll catch up to you and we'll be able to talk about it.
We'll have them open on Monday night.
Okay. Well, I'll if I can do it, I'll look for you then.
Also, Tennessee and Kentucky, I don't think there's anything compelling about that.
No. How many losses does Tennessee have? 2? 2. Yeah, and Kentucky's not going to be a loss, so they'll be it's way out of their control too. Like they don't own their destiny here.
No.
And I don't, the elite teams are proving that Tennessee doesn't beat them. So
the last ranked game, although Colorado plays Utah, which that could be a bloodbath.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that
because that'll come on 7:15 your time.
Yeah. And I have it set to tape for that one too, and I'm hoping that Colorado wins, but because Utah still is another one that's hanging around, that if they got around 10-2 record, they might get into the championship game. Like BYU's the undefeated so far, the front runner, but if they play, they already lost to them. So does it give them it would give them more credibility. They come out of that conference championship with a win, but can they do it after a loss to them? And I don't know. And then BYU, is that going to be their only loss? Like, I'm not a believer in them so far either. I mean,
I think that quarterback for BYU will be good next year, but the last ranked game, and I find this fascinating because Houston is 6-1 and they're not ranked, and they're going on the road to Arizona State. If Houston wins, the Big 12 is in trouble when it comes to the playoffs, or they'll do what they did last year, and that's all the games I got my eyeball on. Because the reason why I say that is because I don't think BYU plays Houston, but if Houston beats Arizona State, which a lot of people don't think it's going to happen, but I give Houston a puncher's chance.
Yeah.
Houston
to get in the conference championship.
Yes, Houston would knock out Arizona State. So that's an elimination game for Kenny Dillingham.
Right.
So that's about all I
got.
And
Houston, it'll get them into the top 25 for sure if they're undefeated, and they just come
Well,
off of the Arizona State win.
They're 6-1.
Oh,
so
7-1 beating Arizona State. Who did they lose to?
They lost to Texas Tech.
Oh, okay. So that's really, that doesn't hurt them very much.
No. So we'll see where this thing shakes out. Hopefully, I'll have you calling back in on Monday night.
I will.
So
if I can, I'll do my best. But if I don't, you're on again during the week. So we'll catch up before the next week's games anyway.
All right, sounds good, Joe. I'll talk to you, buddy.
All right, Duke. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yep, no problem, man. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, Joe came in with a lengthy call. Appreciate that. Giving me something to do. Appreciate everybody watching. If you can do the biggest favor, hit the like and subscribe button. On Fridays, normally we open the phone lines, open kimono, and we let the folks call in. And Joe called in. Nobody else called, but we'll be back at 11:55 for the games tomorrow. We will be back with, if I can get this to load, the streaming schedule to load, that would be helpful. We will be back tomorrow, 11:55, with Ole Miss and Oklahoma, and we will be proceeding it all the way to LSU, A&M. But with that being said, if you can do me the biggest favor, hit the like and subscribe button. Appreciate everybody who tunes in. And if you tune in after we're not live and you like it, drop a comment. Helps out a ton. So appreciate that. And we will see everybody tomorrow.